quickly want to share that today's event, because we still have a very concerning virus, and its format have been discussed with the Otsego County Department of Health by myself, as we want to make sure that everything that we're doing is in a manner designed to keep all of you, us, as safe as possible. I want to thank our keynote speaker, Liz Gallo, for allowing us to live stream her message this morning so we could keep the numbers down in our auditorium. So we certainly appreciate that very much, so thank you. As you can imagine, a lot goes into a day like today, so please bear with me, but I do want to thank some folks. Certainly our sponsors and our vendors who are here today. I thank all of our presenters who are taking the time to share their knowledge and skills with us all. I want to thank Lori Gregory, Jennifer Flores, and Teresa Glavin from Milford Central Schools, Emily Gibson and Michelle Hitchcock from Cooperstown, Dr. Tarkan Jang from Jefferson, Stacy Ward and Julia Ianello from BOCES, Dr. Amy Del Orville, Mary Beth Guthrie, Amy Shanahan from Nicegate, Dr. Betsy Bloom and Jen Brislin from Hartwood College, Marion Mossman, the Otsego County System from the Otsego County Systems of Care, all of the superintendents of the districts represented here today for your partnership, and of course to our keynote speaker, Liz Gallo, thank you, and Amanda Mathewson, Rebecca Vanderwerker, Colleen Moore, and Bonnie Nobling for all of their hard work and commitment to this event, and those folks are right from here in Oneonta. So thank you all very, very much. Lastly, I just want to thank each and one of you for being here today. We certainly appreciate your willingness to participate. Again, it's an exciting day. It's a day filled with a lot of very neat stuff. I wish you all a wonderful day filled with opportunities to learn, grow, network, and spend time with those that you often don't have an opportunity to. I truly hope that you hear, see, learn something that can change a child's life. Wishing you all a very safe, happy, healthy, and impactful school year. And I know what you're saying, Tom, please shut up and get to the good stuff. And I will, I promise. But lastly, just thank you again. I welcome you all this morning. And now I want to introduce our fantastic Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Colleen Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Brindley, and thank you again to everybody. And I also like to thank our Board of Education for their support in letting us offer this, or supporting us offering this conference day here in Oneonta. They're super supportive. I also want to thank all the custodians that helped us over the last few days. I think Rich Baird's phone was blowing up on fire because we kept texting him, and they really did help us so much get all the tables and lugging the water and the coffee and everything. So thank you. We really have great custodial staff here. So thanks to our And today's conference day really is a team effort. It's everybody, all hands on deck. We've been planning it for over a year, and it's just a constant, a lot of work behind the scenes that go into it. But I did want to just thank Bonnie Nobling. She does an excellent job leading our Duet Tech Committee, and we're very fortunate to have an IT director that is so hands-on in this kind of thing in our conference day. So I just wanted to thank Bonnie for doing an excellent job with that. So, growing forward together, that's our theme today. I think it fits our little wordle up there. If you look at some of those words on our logo this year, we kind of just brainstormed, and it all just kind of makes a lot of sense. Silver linings, just all the different things that we've been through over the last almost 2 years. So just kind of be thinking about that. Take a deep breath and just enjoy the day today and be with your colleagues. And we're just so fortunate to be here today in person. I feel so lucky that that is where we are. So I'm going to do housekeeping items after the keynote, so please make sure you stick around and listen after, because there's a few things that I need to share with everybody right directly after Liz's presentation. So at this time, I also feel very fortunate to have Dr. Amy Del Orville, the CEO, Executive Director of NYSCATE, here with us in Oneonta today. So she really is wonderful to work with, along with her entire team, like Mr. Brindley said, Mary Beth Guthrie, Amy Shanahan, and we're just really fortunate to have this collaboration with them. So if you would just welcome Dr. Amy Del Orville.
All sorts of prizes away, and I'm trying not to touch the laptop. We're not really doing that this year, and the reason we're not doing that is because we're just so excited to be with people and around. You know, NYSCATE, we're a convener of people, and it has been a full year and a half. It was March of 2019, the last time we were together in person for any event statewide. So this is it, and I have to congratulate Mr. Brindley, Colleen, Bonnie, the entire staff that everybody's mentioned. They haven't worked a year. As you know, last year we were virtual. We were able to make it happen. I should say last year, back in March, we made it virtual. This year we were planning an event. We didn't know. Was it going to be virtual? Was it going to be face-to-face? So these three folks, please give them a huge round of applause because they worked for a year to make this happen, and this is pretty historic. So, mystery, the lunch bags that you received at registration, does everybody have them? It has all the nice words that the committee came up with. They're also cooler bags. So you can put your water in there, your soda, your seltzer, whatever you like, but they're insulated so you can use them in school and out of school. We had a lot of questions at registration, so I want to clarify that. Okay, so everything that I have on my list to say, either Tom said about the committee, about the districts that are involved, or Colleen said, so I'm going to make this very short. I do need to thank the 5 companies that are supporting this event. As you can imagine, what a difficult year it has been for many companies. For some, it's been tremendous. For some, it's been very difficult. So I would like to thank Tech, and they're right outside the door here, Cradlepoint, Skillstruck, and Eduporium. And a special thank you to Promethean for coming in as our lead sponsor this year. And they actually approached us with a solution that they wanted to share and created a whole new sponsorship level, actually. So if we can give our sponsors a round of applause as well. Okay, so you've all been here before. So is there anyone who doesn't know what NYSCATE is or what we do? I don't want to get into the background. We're 30,000 strong. I do want to talk about, we've got a staff of 4 full-time people, over 50 consultants statewide, volunteer board members, Bonnie's one of our board members, 15 that represent every region of the state. But I'm incredibly proud of how they reacted to the situation we were all put in a year and a half ago. So the response of NYSCATE that evening when pretty much the state shut down is we called all of our facilitators, and we had 50 people unavailable, on demand, at no cost to help educators throughout the state. What that resulted in was 595,000 minutes of instruction that this team provided at no cost to any educator that needed it. Public school, private school, charter school, public school or independent. I have to say in my career, this is probably my proudest moment. We had people calling, I don't know how to plug a monitor in, what is this? Where's my volume control? Like you, there are educators that really wanted to make a difference and help their students, and they simply were frozen because they did not know how. And we had people from all aspects of the state just step up and help these folks, which really, again, is what NYSCATE is all about. We were able to hit 17,000 individual educators that actually dedicated a good chunk of their time to take at least 6 different courses, our on-demand courses from us. And we had, 120 on-demand hours, and we held basically what's called office hours. Every morning and every afternoon, we just had people online. You could just dial in or ask any question, which was great because everybody learned from each other. So this is the key part that I want to share, is what was State Ed's response to that. So State Ed asked us to put together the numbers and what this looked like and how many educators we hit, because a lot of accolades came in for folks like you that just stepped up to help their fellow educators. And what they came back to us with was, what would it take to provide this to all educators in the state year-round? And we told them what it would take. What would it take to do it at no charge to every educator in the state? So we put together a proposal. We knew there was no way they would do it because it is state ed after all. And they met it, and they exceeded it. And they provided our small not-for-profit organization with funds to provide online courses for every educator in the state. We were able to control who developed the courses, and we used all New York State certified educators like yourself, what the topics were, and a lot of the topics, honestly, were just things that you need and when you need it, just to improve your instruction. We had SEL topics, tool-based topics. So there's 40 courses online that are available to each of you at absolutely no charge that are on our website. So I do encourage you, please go to www.nicegate.org, sign in, take a class, whether it's Google Forms, Bitmoji, just learn one small skill. Ideally, we're coming out of this pandemic, but there's no doubt it's going to be a rocky road ahead. So these skills are not for online teaching, they're just for teaching, and they're at every level, not just for the folks like Bonnie that really made a headway across the state during this pandemic. So that is our gift. So no giveaways, no conference giveaways, anything like that, but those courses are available to you, again, no charge on the website. Another gift we would like to give is our keynote speaker. So Liz Gallo and I crossed paths. Liz, do you remember? We were at the next CN meeting in Albany, actually. So Liz is quite amazing and has such a colorful background, and I'm going to have her share a bit of that with you. Liz actually came to us and said, I had this great idea and I want to share it. We talked over with Bonnie and the committee, and we thought it's actually perfect for this year. So I'm going to share a little bit of Liz's bio, and I'm going to have her tell her story. Liz has taught technology and engineering education for over a decade in all types of schools around the world, focusing on helping students learn how to solve problems and understand the human-made world. Since the beginning of her career, Liz has taught STEM-based or STEM project-based learning and design thinking. Now, through her own company, Winemaker, and by the way, Liz is a New York educator, and she can talk more about that as well. She's on a mission to help teachers teach students in meaningful and authentic ways. As president of the New York State Technology and Engineering Educators Association, she brought together thousands of STEM teachers and motivated them to work together and grow STEM education across New York State. Liz has helped schools and communities design makerspaces and teach maker education. Liz believes that through transdisciplinary design thinking and project-based learning, students fall in love with the process. That's great. My prescription's ready at Wegmans if you're wondering what mattress was. My apologies. Students fall in love with the process of solving problems, and this will help them be successful in whatever they do in their future. With that being said, and obviously that was the official bio. I'm not great at reading things, that's why I shoot them off my cuff. Liz was one of those extraordinary educators that volunteered her time to help everybody else. She facilitates part of our webinars and is actually designing courses as well. So with that, please give Liz Gallo a warm, nice game welcome.
Thank you, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I am super excited to chat with you today. And I am infinitely grateful that you've given me this space to work with you and just have a conversation, teacher to teacher, and what that means. I hope my mic works. My mic doesn't work. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, we'll try again. Play. There we go. It's a little old, my little computer baby. Okay, so we're going to talk today about building connections using design thinking. Who's heard of design thinking before? Yes. Okay. I'm hoping that this presentation for us can be interactive. So I want you to shout things out from behind your mask, or I'm going to give you an option for everyone who's virtual to text in a response using a really cool app. So when I first learned about design thinking, I was actually in my undergrad experience and learned about the engineering design process, because I was going to school to be a technology teacher, and an engineering design process is how we teach our children. And as soon as I learned about design thinking, I was like, oh, this is how we should be teaching our children. And I've never looked back, because it really does help our kids experience so many wonderful things in their worlds. So I hope you can follow me on social media, engage with me on this conversation now, after. I love chatting with teachers. We're like all one. Whenever you meet a teacher, you talk forever. So please connect with me. That's my social media handle, and let's get into it. So my first question to you is, what are you noticing about your students now? You can shout out an answer. You can text in an answer. I'd love to hear you, because I can't really see the text. So what are you noticing about your students? What's different? How are they different this year than they have been in the past? They've lost social skills. Okay, what else? Stamina. I hear that a lot, yeah.
Short attention span.
Oh, that attention span. Yeah, it's shorter than ever. What else?
Confidence is lower.
What's lower?
The confidence.
Their confidence. Yes. Ooh. Skills, I'm hearing something about. Their academic skills, right? Say more about that. So you know what's great about your masks? I have no idea who's speaking. So you guys can say whatever you want. Okay, so we're struggling academically, we're struggling socially, we're struggling with our confidence. Yeah, what else?
No higher level thinking.
Oh, yes, no higher level thinking skills. Are they struggling to be challenged? Right, we can't challenge them, right? They push back, yeah. So definitely a lot of things that our kids are struggling with that's confusing for us, because this isn't how they were in the past. And that's really hard as a teacher, to try to figure out how we're gonna meet these kids where they are. So my question for you teachers, what do you have to teach?
Everything.
Everything. Shout out some things that we're doing in our classrooms.
Social emotional learning.
Oh, we're doing that. What else?
Basic academics.
Academics.
Motivation.
Motivation.
Study skills.
Study skills. Social emotional. We're parenting. We're handwriting. Ooh. Yes. Presentation skills. Computer skills. Funny, yeah. And we're doing fire drills, right? We're doing evacuation drills. We're doing therapy sessions. We're continuing to learn ourselves. We're adding in new tech. We're doing this. We're doing the IEPs. We're dealing with the 504s. We have a lot on our plates. We have a lot on our plates. And helping those kids continue to grow is really important, and really kind of our main job. So my question is what our students need aligned with what we're giving them? Yes? No? Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of 50-50. Is it getting through to their ears, into their brains, what we're saying to them sometimes? Do we feel like they're just staring at us like you're doing right now with me? Yeah, yeah. And it's just, whoo, yeah.
I think that a lot of my students now are asking me for the why.
Yes.
And they're not afraid to ask me why.
Yeah, so what she said is that her students are asking her why. Why are we doing this? And they're not afraid to ask why. And I completely agree. I think that's something that our students are recognizing, is that, why am I doing this? I was in this like strange hybrid at home world for the last year and a half doing my thing, and now I'm back here. Why am I here? What are we doing? And even if the work over the last 2 years was even easy for me, right, as a student, well, why do I have to spend all this time in this school building doing this thing? Or if I've just lost the past 2 years and I've just been floundering and I don't even know where I am, Why am I here now? What am I doing here? And it's a really important question for our kids. And really is something we should be answering them consistently. Like, why are we doing this? And how is it connected to my life? How is this connected to my life and my future? I think that's a really important thing that our kids are questioning as things are changing. Oh yeah, there's the teacher. Who's felt like that teacher before? We could do this, we could do this. All right. So our students, they need, first and foremost, they need a safe and supportive environment. They need to feel like they can grow and they can learn in a safe place. They need to trust the other people around them, right? And that's with any human. If you don't feel safe and you don't feel supported, you're really limited in what you can do. They need to have a sense of belonging. So they need to spend time with their community, and they need to feel like they fit in. And we see that a lot with we see that very obviously with our middle schoolers when they're like in their cliques, and one day they're with this group, and the next day they're with that group, and then they're with this group, and you can't keep track of who their best friend is. That's that sense of belonging they're trying to figure out. Their brains are actually developing that skill set now where, oh, I need to belong to a group here. Students need to be connected to a social network. So we need to belong to like a bigger kind of social network. We have to understand we're social creatures. I've been doing a ton of reading about human and human development, and really we are social creatures. Our ability to love, our ability to care for, our ability to look out for each other, our ability to work together, that's uniquely human that we need to help our students develop. Our students need personalized growth, and we talk a lot about personalized learning, like our kids need personalized learning, and when you're a teacher and you have 30 kids in your classroom, or you're seeing 400 kids a week, or whatever you're seeing, personalized learning sounds impossible. It's so mind-boggling to wrap your brain around, like, how do I give every single one of these kids a personalized learning experience? Like, that's crazy. But it is possible. We can do it, and our kids need it. Our kids also need something to care about. If you have kids of your own and you ask them, how was school today? And they go, fine, boring, right? There's a disengagement there with school. And we need to build experiences for our kids to have the best learning experiences in their school day, right? We need to have them care about something, the why. They need to care about the why. And they need structure and routine. And we're gonna talk about how structure and routine builds this sense of calm, build this sense of rhythm in our life so that we know what's coming up and we feel comfortable doing the things we're doing. So we're gonna talk about the design thinking process, and all of those things that our students need on this slide can fit into this design thinking process. And it is something that I care deeply about, and I know and I've seen time and time again how students have incredible success with design thinking, and kids come running to classrooms when teachers are doing design thinking projects with them, and they have something to care about and they have something to talk about and they're thinking about it all the time. So we're going to talk about how design thinking and a design thinking process can help our kids feel like that, all of our kids, and can give our kids all those things that they need. So design thinking is a step-by-step process to help us solve problems, thinking about the needs of the humans who are having that problem. It's something that engineers use a lot when they're designing and building structures or programs or apps or furniture or whatever. And it's also something that like marketing companies use to figure out who their user is and like the persona and the journey and figure out how to market to people. Every business, almost every business and industry is using design thinking in their day. I have friends who work in healthcare who are using design thinking to help figure out how to get patients better matched with primary care doctors. So they're going through a design thinking process to figure out how they can make that happen. I have friends with who have greeting card companies, make like a Hallmark, not Hallmark, but a greeting card. They use a design thinking process to determine how to build greeting cards that people need. I have a friend who works on, an oil rig, and she talks about using design thinking to figure out, like, how are we going to solve this problem that we're experiencing on our oil rig out in the middle of the ocean. And they use it and it's used in so many different ways. And our kids are coming out of school without that language. And industry is expecting them to know that language. And most kids have not even heard of the terms. So we really need to be thinking about why we're teaching what we're teaching and how it's connected to their life after school. So at YMaker, we developed the YMaker Way, which is a combination of that really strict engineering, analysis and factual, like super strict engineering process, and that like lofty, marketing, fluffy kind of process. This process combines them both. And this process has specifically been designed so that it works for teachers in classrooms. Right? That like really super strict engineering thing doesn't really always work for teachers. That like lofty marketing kind of thing doesn't really work for teachers. When we combined it and we really think about what teachers need, we get a functioning, awesome process that our kids can have a lot of great success with. It is a step-by-step process, so we have our kids start with a discovery phase and walk through each step by step all the way to the redesign phase. And as they're doing that, remember, they are working to solve a problem that someone has. So there's empathy naturally built in to the process. That's social emotional learning. Those social skills that we're trying to grasp from our kids, we are getting that in this experience. My computer is ringing. I wonder if my Walgreens prescription is ready. Okay, so when we're walking through this process step by step, we really are helping our kids meet all sorts of different things that they need to meet. And I'm going to warn you that this can be cumbersome to think about implementing in my classroom. I promise you, you do not have to do it all at once and completely redo everything you've ever done in your whole entire life. Let's start small. We'll start with one step at a time. We'll do just a little bit at a time, and then slowly but surely we'll build up the kids' skills and confidence where they can tackle bigger projects. So what we're going to talk about is how each different phase or each different step connects to the social emotional things that our kids need right now. So the first step is the discover the situation. And this is where you, teachers, are completely in control. This is where you set your content for the kids. Okay, we're learning about electricity. We just did a huge project with electricity at YMaker. We're learning about electricity, right? We learned that in 3rd grade, 4th grade, we learned it in 6th grade, we learned it in 8th grade, we learned it again in physics. We learn electricity a lot of times. I love electricity. I'm like a little nerd about electricity. But let's say we need to teach our kids about electricity. We need to teach them about circuits. We need to teach them about components that go in the circuit. We need to teach them, potentially like Ohm's law and how that works and how we measure electricity. Okay, so that's our big idea as a teacher, right? That's our context, our standards, the things we need to teach. Well, okay, as a teacher, where is there electricity? Everywhere, right? Where, and I think as a teacher, how can I have my students have a real experience with electricity, where they're applying their knowledge of electricity to something for someone and have them design a solution for it? In my apartment in New York City, I have these cabinets that are under the counter, and they're super deep. And I can't see in the back of the cabinet. I literally have to sit on the floor, take my phone flashlight, and look in there, and I'm digging in the back of the cabinet, and I hate it. I can't see. So as a user, I would love for someone to build me a circuit in that cabinet so that I could see it. Anytime I opened the cabinet door, the light would turn on and I'd have a circuit. So as a user, I have a problem. I can't see in my cabinet. And we can potentially, with this electricity example, challenge our students to find a solution for someone using an electric circuit. And they'd go out to their family, to the school community, to their friends, to their grandma, their grandpa, their whoever, and talk about where do you need an electric circuit, and help kids figure out how to, and then the kids would figure out how to implement that. So while they're doing that, the kids they're learning the content, right? We're learning about electricity, we're learning about electrical circuits, and we have a why. The why is because grandma needs to see in her cabinet. So I gotta make a light for grandma. I gotta learn how a circuit works because grandma needs a light, right? So there's a why. There's a really important why, and kids will learn the content. So we take that big idea, that big content, and we help kids kind of figure it out. This really is that whole, understanding the content. We let kids kind of choose what they're doing, so we're personalizing their learning experience, right? We're giving kids, okay, you want to build a circuit for grandma, you want to build a circuit for Liz in the cabinet, but we're all building circuits, but the reason you're doing it is personalized. So it's a great space for personalized learning. The next step in the design thinking process is empathize. Empathize with people. So we talk about the word empathy a lot. And as adults, sometimes we don't even really understand what it means to empathize. Kids don't really understand what it means to empathize. But ironically, kids are way better at empathizing with others than adults are. And you see that all the time. A kid falls and the other kids run to help them and want to stay with them, if they got hurt. I heard a great story the other day. These two little kids came up to the nurse's office. One was hurt, and the nurse was like, okay, other kid not hurt, you can go back. And that kid said, but I wouldn't want to be here alone if I was hurt. And those moments are where you're like, oh my gosh, kids are so empathetic to each other. And our empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So that little kid was like, if I was hurt, I wouldn't want to be alone. And we can build this into our projects and builds that why. This is that social emotional learning we're giving to kids. This is how it becomes real. This is how we give real experiences for our kids. Grandma can't reach the things on the top shelf. Okay, we can build something for that. I had another great example. It was write a how-to book for an elderly person, right? My grandma, how to use Instagram, because my 90-something-year-old grandma wants to use Instagram. So my cousin wrote her a how-to book on how to use Instagram. But we need to teach our kids to learn how to. We have to teach them sequencing. We have to tell them what we're expecting of them. And they have to find that problem that they want to empathize with. So there are some great video clips out there. This one from the movie Inside Out really shows how sadness, the little blue character, empathizes with the elephant, I forget his name, about when he loses his toy. Yeah. So there are some really great clips out there about empathy that we can talk with our students about to help prep them to be empathetic towards others, even though they naturally are. After kids are empathetic and they understand the context of the problem and they have their reason, their why, they brainstorm ideas, where we give kids the opportunity to write and draw and create all sorts of different ideas for what the solution could look like. What could the how-to book look like? What would it include? What could the circuit look like? What would it include, right? We could even think about we'll get to that example next, I'll hold that thought. But brainstorming, so lots and lots of ideas. This is another great way to allow kids to personalize their learning. We give them lots of experiences to express themselves. A note on creativity here, right? So when we hear this word brainstorming, we think that oh my gosh, I have to be creative to come up with tons and tons of ideas. Or kids will say, I'm not creative, and I'm sure you'll say to me, I'm not creative, I can't come up with that. Steve Jobs has this amazing quote that says, creativity is just connecting things. So anything that is new is a combination of things that already exist. And creativity is actually what has kept our human species alive for so long. We've been creative and adapted through time to be here now with all of this stuff. So creativity is just connecting things. It's taking experiences that we have and combining it together to come up with new things. There's a whole DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion piece too with creativity and brainstorming. And that's a whole nother conversation that we can have another day. But having personalized experiences of whoever you are and honoring them really just highlights and brings to the table so many diverse experiences and so many diverse ideas as well. And it gives a platform for doing that. Also, you can't be creative and you can't take risks if you don't feel supported and you don't feel like you're in a trusting place. So when we give our kids this opportunity, we already have to build a culture of trust and of relationship and of support with our students. And we do that by honoring their experience, by listening to them, giving them a voice, allowing them to know that you can share anything you want to share and it won't be shot down. I won't tell you no. I'll let you express that in a positive and productive way. So we need to really build trust with our students in order to make that happen. All right, the next step is the ideate, which is also the planning stage. It's where kids plan their solution. So this is such an awesome opportunity for our kids to re-practice that content, right? So we're giving them an opportunity to draw out what their circuit is like, write an outline of their book, right? We give them this opportunity to do this. And kids will include a detailed sketch or they'll do a bulleted outline. And it's a great opportunity for us as teachers to check their work and make sure they're on track and make sure they're learning and make sure they know what we need them to know. So design thinking really helps us get this personal experience with kids that makes them feel like they belong here, that makes them feel connected to you and connected to the community. It's a great way to reestablish trust with our students and to work with them to build successful solutions. I love this picture. After our kids plan out their design, they prototype solutions. So they actually physically make whatever they decided they wanted to make, whether they're building a new game for PE class, right? And kids will actually be laying out the field and testing it with their friends and going through it and writing down the rules, and they're actually building it. They're writing their final essay. They're physically constructing something. They're doing the maze, right? Whatever they're physically doing, they're actually doing it during the prototype phase. And it's a lot of fun. Kids are doing a whole bunch of different things, but because of the way you structured it, you set some narrowing walls on their work so that they can be in a road that you can manage, right? In your room, you don't want kids that are like doing that thing and doing that thing and doing that thing and doing that thing, and they're all over the place, right? That's what makes it feel like chaos. But when everybody is narrowed down to the same road, we have a successful learning experience for them and for yourself. So I'm going super fast through this. Something that's important for our kids now and for our kids through the pandemic, and I've been saying this the whole time, is that our kids need to be substantially creating. And when they are substantially creating, there's an intense sense of pride, an intense sense of confidence, this problem-solving skills come through. I mean, every single one of these kids in these pictures was substantially creating something for a purpose and for a reason, and you can see it on their faces. You can see that they are so proud of themselves for what they created. And they've been challenged to get to that point, right? It's not easy. These kids in the corner, they built picnic tables and benches for their local park or something, or for the nursing home. That's not easy for kids to do. No way. They were definitely challenged to make that happen. So when we challenge our kids, when we give them the opportunity to show themselves and show what they know, they can be successful. So definitely give our kids opportunities to create. The next phase in the design thinking process is testing and evaluating, where kids actually test their solution with users. So they take their how-to book, they sit next to grandma, and they say, Grandma, read it. Let me know if this works for you. Let me know if, Grandma, now you could use Instagram, right? They install the circuit in the cabinets to see if the light works, and that helps the people, me, see in their cabinets, right? There's so many different ways that kids can test and evaluate what works. They're checking for feedback. They are, building this community connection and this sense of belonging. Wow, I contributed to society. I contributed to my friends, to my family, and it makes me feel good. Everybody that will give feedback to your kids will be super positive and super helpful. So don't feel like anyone's ever gonna fail, because they won't, because everyone is so nice to our kids and will help them be successful. And the last phase in the design thinking process is this redesign and reflection. As teachers, we have this limited time constraint that we're always faced with, right? We never, ever, ever have enough time. And in traditional design thinking cycles, there is this redesign phase where we design something, we realize we have to change something, and we go back and redesign it. But I've never met a teacher that had unlimited time or unlimited resources, so we don't have that luxury of redesigning this again. And even as a teacher, by week 2 of doing a project, week 3 tops, I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, we need to wrap this up because I'm gonna lose my mind. But with the why maker process, what we do in the redesign is we ask if questions. If you could redesign, what would you do differently? If you had the opportunity, what would you add to it? So that we're ending the project. So the project has an end date, because we can't let this keep going on forever because we have lots of other things to do. So the redesign phase really helps our kids be reflective about what they did and what they created. It also helps our kids see parts of a whole. What are the parts that make up this whole thing? Because that's really abstract for kids too. In the reflection phase, this is the absolute best part of the design thinking process as a teacher. You ask kids, what did you learn? How did you see yourself grow? What are you taking away from this? And their responses will blow you away. They will say things that you never expected them to say. I learned how to work with a team. I learned that I really shouldn't work with that person. I learned that if I try hard and I put some effort into it, I can be really successful. They say, I was surprised that I was able to do that. And you just get this sense of like, oh, we're doing something. We're making moves. I'm so happy I was able to help grandma. It made her so happy, right? All of those social, emotional pieces, that sense of belonging, that sense of community, that's what we build, and that's what we see and we can check for in our reflection phase. I went really fast through that. So I want you to remember that design thinking is a big kind of mind shift for the way that we teach, right? If we look at what the content we're teaching and we think about how do we solve, what problems is connected to this content, right? What is a problem, a real problem that I'm teaching these kids this content for, right? Why am I teaching them about the structure of government? Why am I teaching them about, eating healthy lifestyle? Why am I teaching about slope and rise and run? Why am I teaching that? Where is there a real world connection? Because there is. Everything you teach is connected to something in the real world. There's that connection. We just have to open our minds to think why and where and how is this relevant to kids and how can I make this relevant to kids? How can I give them a problem to solve? And then let them work through this design process to solve it. I want you to start small. Give kids an opportunity to brainstorm 5 different solutions on how you think you could possibly solve this math equation. Give me a brainstorm, 5 ideas. You could say to them, I want you to go home and ask your family where you could write a poem for, who you could write a poem for. You know, is there a birthday coming up? Is there a holiday coming up? Who could you write a poem for? Right? And have them start that empathy process. Okay, what does that person like? Find out what they like. Find out what they would like a poem about. And you can slowly, one part at a time, include design thinking into your work. Because it really does help kids feel like they belong to this community. They're making an impact on the people around them. And they feel trusted, they feel supported, because they know, really, no matter what they write a poem about, as long as their poem meets our requirements as a teacher, they can't really be wrong, right? If they're writing a poem for their cousin or for, you know, their long-lost friend who moved across the country, the content isn't wrong, right? The structure is what we're looking to solve, we're looking to teach, and we can do that in meaningful and engaging ways. So give kids lots of opportunities to express themselves, to connect with other people, to build community, to belong to this community, because they have a lot to contribute. They really do. When we're thinking about design thinking projects on a big scale, we often use design portfolios to help students stay focused. It walks kids and teachers step by step by step by step through the design process so that they can create the best possible solutions. Students of any age, any level, any ability can use a design portfolio. They just need to be customized for them. I've had all sorts of different students using design portfolios, using the design thinking process, and we've done amazing things. We've created puppets, we've created computer programs, we've created bird houses. I worked with a group of severely autistic students who designed and built bird houses to put outside of the windows of the administrators in the school building. And it was a slow process. It took us a while, but they looked at bird houses, they drew out what it was going to look like, or their aides drew it for them, and then we worked on cutting it and putting it together, and they chose the colors they wanted to paint it, and then they delivered it to that administrator. And the pride that came out of them when you could see it, you could see their bodies being so happy to deliver that, right? Those experiences, they're possible for anyone, and we need to really be giving all of our children those opportunities. So if you want to learn more about design thinking and STEM and Maker Ed, you can sign up for our online course. It's also a version of it on the Nightskate website. If you head to ymaker.co, you can find it. The team actually sent me with 5 maker kits that go along with this course. So it's an online course. It is self-paced. You do it at your own speed. It builds in community. There's a whole community of STEM and maker educators in there. It's interactive, where you're building right along with the projects that are in there. There's 3 awesome project ideas you could do with your students, and it comes with a hands-on kit for you to engage in. So if you sign up today, you can walk out of here with a hands-on kit. And there's also a version of this course on the Nightskate website, so definitely check that out as well. I am done. If you have, I'd love some questions or some thoughts or some things you're thinking about so that we can wrap this up. Questions, thoughts, ideas, shout them out.
I just want to say thank you to Liz for the great work she's done to support teachers during the pandemic. From the very earliest stage, she pivoted her training to reach teachers. She supported our summer STEM camp up in Watertown.
Yes.
By doing training right away in April.
Yeah.
April of 2019, we were doing our online medicine robotics training, design thinking training to support our STEM camp. And we were hearing the silence in the background.
Yeah.
He was doing the training. It was really quite the experience. But I want to thank you for the great work you've done to support us all.
Thank you. Yes. I was in New York City, epicenter of COVID, doing training virtually across the country, and the sirens were consistently going off. It was intense. Thank you. Other thoughts, questions, comments? Because I can ask you questions all day long. All right. How are you bringing your community into your schools and into your students? How are you bringing your community into your school and into your students, into your classrooms? What are some ways? I know you're doing great things.
There's a couple teachers in here who have Trauma Limited, our local chapter of retired fishermen, who are donating equipment. So Lisa and I have products in our classroom that was donated by Trauma Limited, and they come in and they love it. They talk to the kids. They go through the whole process with them. They take them out to release the crowd. It brings in a lot of science. So it's really nice to bring that part of the community.
So local fishermen, local fishermen are coming into your classroom and talking about how the trout that you're raising in your room is so similar to what's happening in the local community and what they do every day, right? Because that helps kids see the why. Why are we raising trout? What are these fish doing here? Like, they're cute, but like, why is this lady got fish in there? And like hundreds of fish, right? And why do I gotta clean it out? Why is it my day to clean it out? But yeah, so it brings that like local connection and that job talk too, right? Like, that's a booming industry here that our kids can move into, and it's a great, great connection. What are some other ways we bring our community into our students?
We're trying to do a community garden at school. It's going to take a while to figure out.
Yeah, so community gardens in our school, they definitely take a while to figure out. There's a lot of logistics because community gardens grow best in the summer when we're on vacation, right? So figuring out that community piece of how is this whole community going to work together all year long to support this community, this garden, and provide food, delicious, healthy food to all of us. Gardens also really help kids feel this sense of calm when they get outside into nature, or even hydroponics gardens in the classroom really bring this sense of calm and routine and regulation to kids when they're feeling stressed and anxious. So having plants in your classroom is great for calming kids down and bringing regulation.
Community members dropping off drama tired, and hopefully other students, when they see it tired, they don't need it back.
Oh, that's wonderful. So they're dropping off job attire, so job clothing, right? Prom. Both. You can wear your prom dress on an interview, right? That community connection, that even that like upcycling, not disposable kind of culture, like building that sustainability piece into that conversation, that's super important, right? That really builds that connection. What else? What are some other ideas that we have? Yeah.
I'm going to brag up my fifth grade class. We wrote a letter to Mayor Herzig regarding the litter in and around our city and town. And a newspaper reporter from the Daily Star is coming in this week to interview our class.
Interview your students?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. That's super exciting. So we wrote a letter to the mayor. We thought about like what is everyone in our community feeling about this litter, right? That empathy piece. And how can I express that, and how can I make change? How can I do something differently? We learned the letter writing techniques, and now we're going to learn how to be interviewed by a news reporter. That's amazing. So we're teaching our kids lots of great social, community-based action projects. What are you gonna add?
Last year, while everybody was not together, our school's focus was on taking care of business. And we wanted to reach out to the elderly in our community because we understood that their population of people who really were isolated. And so the fourth grade team reached out to
Nice.
the letters for the kids, and they were so appreciative. But more importantly, I think the kids, I think when we lose ourselves in the service of others, we sometimes alleviate our own
Oh yeah.
feelings of, need.
Yes.
And it was really good to see how the fourth graders kind of just stepped up and were just like, they made videos, they wrote letters, and it was great. I would like to really continue with that. I think that that's a really important part of their connection.
Mhm.
Really, I think we should do that again.
I think you should do that again too. Yeah. You said it so eloquently. So when you provide service to others, you alleviate your needs. You realize that, wow, I can feel better by helping others. And that's that sense of community, that sense of belonging, the contribution to learning is really, contribution to our society is really what our kids want to feel. They want to feel those connections. So that's really impactful. One of the schools that we work with, they have a nursing home across the street, and pre-pandemic, I don't know how they recognize this, but they started this program, Dining with Dignity, where the kids realized that the elderly, they couldn't hold the fork or knife right, they couldn't hold the cup right, so the kids designed new silverware and new tableware for the elderly. Ultimately, they 3D printed it, but there's lots of ways that you can create that stuff. But they said that they still see the elderly use them 2 years later. These plastic things that they created because it mattered to them. So thank you so much. I will be around all day. I'm doing a workshop on Edison later. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to just chat with you, hear what you're doing, think about some ideas with you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and enjoy the rest of your day. I know someone is coming up to give us
Thank you, Liz. That was amazing. We were wondering how we were going to be able to intertwine all the stuff that we're doing right now and have it be useful, and I think you did an amazing job, so thank you so much. And I'm not going to take too much of everybody's time because I know we want a little break before we move on, but thank you again, Liz. That was amazing. I hope that you all get to connect with her at some point today. I don't think I need to let you know the conference format is a little different this year. Usually you can pop around to different places. You are signed up for sessions today to report to those sessions. I mean, if you really need to go someplace else, just make sure you check and there's enough space in that session for you. But you do need to sign in to the rooms wherever you're going. Our lunch is going to be served in the cafeteria. We do have spaces provided in the cafeteria, in the courtyard. You can go outside, out behind our cafeteria. We have a couple picnic tables. If you travel down to the middle school, those cafeteria is going to be open, and they actually brought some tables out into the back area for you to sit outside today. So that will be there for you if you want to kind of bring your lunches. You can go outside, you can go sit on the bleachers. I think it looks like the sun's shining from here, so we're good there. Make sure you come back at the end of the day for closing and door prizes. We will give you your CTLE information at that time. Don't forget about the flu and COVID clinic that's happening just around the corner here. Stop in when you get a minute if you want to get your flu shot or your COVID vaccine. And there was a phone found in the bathroom back here. If you lost a phone, it's in the ladies' bathroom behind here. I think it was left there, and so go grab it if you left it in there. And the last thing I want to say today before you get started is I want to thank all of our presenters today. There's many teachers that have stepped up to the plate today and planned and prepared, and we couldn't have this conference day without all of the presenters. So please give your colleagues a round of applause. Thank you to everybody, and have a wonderful day.